So my sister's friend is studying for the CPA right now. She's studying for FAR, and she called me and she was like, okay. She's like, when you were doing FAR 1, which is just like the basic financial statement, she's like, do you know how to make an income statement? And I was like, I struggled so much on the basic accounting. I like froze. I was like, no, I couldn't make a financial statement, like an income statement when I started studying too. Like, it just takes it to a new level that no matter how much you think you know when you're tested on it in school, you don't actually know it. It's like crazy.
Let's welcome our next guest who just recently passed the CPA exam.
I'm Victoria. I'm from Easton, Pennsylvania. I went to school in Binghamton University. It's in upstate New York. I did my bachelor's in accounting and I also got my MBA from there. I took the CPA during my grad school year. And now I currently work for Grant Thornton. I do risk advisory. I specifically test controls, so I do internal auditing.
In what order did you take the CPA exam?
I did Reg, BEC, Audit, FAR. I took Reg, Audit, and BEC during my grad year. And then I took FAR. I failed FAR, so I had to take it twice, full-time working. If I could go back, everyone was like, FAR and Reg are hard. And I was like, they're like, you should take one of those first. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll just take Reg because it didn't seem as scary as FAR. It was super hard still. 2 less chapters. I think that's what made it easier. Also, it's not something that a basic, if you didn't take a tax class, which I don't even think you're forced to in college, you don't know anything about it. So that's its own challenge in itself. But then I took BEC, Reg and BEC, like, I feel like everyone says like, oh, all of them go together. They all have nothing in common. The only thing that's the same is like the financial ratios. So you can take Reg and BEC whenever, doesn't matter. I recommend starting with FAR. If I could go back and redo it, I probably would have started with FAR just to get it over with because, like you said, you made it down to like the last minute. Like if I had failed, like I would have had to keep going and you don't want to end with the hardest one. But I took audit before FAR and my simulations on audit, they were about like gain, loss, contingency, subsequent event. And I felt in the Becker CPA, it only touched on that briefly. I remember going into the exam being like, okay, like the only thing I don't know is gain, loss, contingencies, and subsequent events. Please don't test me on them. And they were all of my sims. So I was like, oh my gosh, like no, come on. And then I was studying for FAR and it went into such great detail. And I was like, I should have taken FAR first and I would have been totally prepared for audit. So I definitely, if that's a study order, do FAR then audit. Reg and BEC, do whatever you want, but FAR then audit. That's the only one I can stress. When I left Reg, because I took it at school, so a lot of us all went at the same time just because it was the last test date before the window closed for the grades. And they all had taken them before me. So this was like their second exam. So I came out of Reg and they were all sitting there because they drove together. I was crying and they were like, what's wrong? And I was like, that was the worst thing I've ever taken. Like, because one of my sims was all like, IRAs and like the early withdrawal. And the only thing I knew was that it's a 10% penalty. I didn't know how to actually apply it to situations. And I was like, I had a whole sim. I didn't know what to do. Like, I kept getting down to 2 answers. I felt like I was guessing on everything. They're like, that's how it makes you feel. Like, it does this to you on purpose. So I opened it, I got a 75, and I was like, Mom, Dad, like, I got a 40. Like, there's no way I didn't get anywhere close. And I got a 75, and I was like, okay, like, this is okay. So then for like audit BEC, when you leave with that feeling of like, I had no clue what I was doing, it's so normal. I didn't cry after those. I was like, okay, like those I felt pretty good about. Granted, I still got the bare minimum scores, but I felt like I knew that the feeling of failure was going to be there. When I left FAR the first time with the 66, I called my friends and I was like, I should have left after the first testlet. I was like, there was no need for me to take the rest of the test. The first testlet was so bad. So that one I knew, but I was like, you know what? I always have the feeling of failure. Maybe it'll be that. That time I did fail. So I was like, this is what it feels like. They did it to me. They got me this time. And then I took it again and I was like, I feel better. But I don't know if I feel 9 points better. I did way better than 9 points. So however you feel leaving the exam, you don't know. After you take it, if you are at the end of your test window, take the week and a half off. Don't study. unless you have an NTS for a second test, like, don't move on. I don't recommend it. You need a week or two break, then start studying. If you have a time-constricted NTS, get moving. Don't mess with the NTS. That's a lot of money. But take a break. When I took FAR the second time, when I got to the simulations, like the test of 2, I opened both of them and I looked at it and I was like, I have no clue what they're asking. Like, I'm pretty sure I left both of them either like mostly blank or like pretty close to blank. But a lot of the times with the financial statements, if you put zeros or leave blanks, you get points for that. So a lot of them, for that one, that's why I was like, there's no way I passed. Like, I left so much of it blank, but because a lot of my sims were like statements like that, all of those blanks pushed me through a lot. And like, I got a 79, that's all I could ask for. But leaving it blank, not knowing, like taking guesses, like you don't know what you're gonna get points on. Like, you don't know what you're gonna get partial credit for. Like, take the guess. Don't like sit there and cry. Like, there was times I wanted to just like sit there and stare at it, because you don't want to like not have enough time for your last simulation. But like, sometimes you have to take the initiative and just be like okay with guessing, okay with moving on. Like, you don't have time to sit there and constantly debate. You either have to move on or you waste your time. You have to go through the test at your own pace and find that timing that's going to work for you, and know when like you're going to be okay with clicking that submit testlet and moving on. Like, for BEC, because I was doing it over winter break, it was all the holidays. So I mean, my BEC book came everywhere with me. In the car rides on the way there, in between like the appetizer and dinner, like I was sitting there with my book at Christmas dinner studying. Like, I had it with me 24/7. I didn't go anywhere without it. That's what you have to do. So I feel like I was a little blessed that I was able to start during college, because I was already studying it. The CPA is just adding another class of homework in. So I just I went through it. I had all summer for FAR, really doing nothing before work to study. The people who put it off until work, like, God bless your souls. I don't know how they do that. My friend's in audit, and he was just in the middle of busy season. He failed BEC and was like, I'm just going to move on to audit, and tried to study during busy season. And he was just like, I can't. He's like, I'm working like 70 hours a week right now. Like, I don't have time to study. Like, he's like, I don't even have time to breathe. And I was like, that's why, like, if you can get it done before you work, like, keep going. Like, I did it in like kind of like a year and a month because of the failure. But if you take a break between tests, or like, the more you push it, the harder it's gonna get to keep going. My sister has a friend right now. She didn't want to study in college, so she's trying to do FAR over winter break, but she has to pass. She wants to get all of them done before she starts work in October. And I was like, you understand, like, you need to study every test back to back to back. You can't just take breaks if you want to start before work. So you have to evaluate what's happening in your life, how you can study. Do you have good time management? Because if you don't have good time management, this is going to be a very hard test for you.